YouTube, are you here? YouTube, we are ready with the round one of Diablo Star Rescue Ace versus Branded Despia. Do I think myself that Rescue Ace is going to be a top tier deck right now? I don't really see it getting tier 2. Without the Emergency or the Preventer, which are two huge cards for the deck, we'll see.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
I'm excited for this. We have the non-alt art Ash. So the alt art Ash has an animation. We're going to negate that Branded Fusion. Now, because the effect is negated, we cannot add it back with Retribution, then activate it again this turn. If it were negated by a card like Bear into Floor, we would have been able to make that play. So we ended on nothing, 0 disruption besides a Nibiru. So if they summon 5 times, that Nibiru is coming. Can we make big plays under 5 summons? Hajime. All right, we got the normal summoned Hydrant. Hydrant unsummoned, searching for a special summonable Turbulence. Turbulence, a special summon, needs 2 Rescue Ace cards in the graveyard in order to summon. So with 1 Rescue Ace card already in the grave, we could then link summon with the Hydrant to then summon the Turbulence onto the field. All right? Come forth from the that's the Snake Eye Ash with the 1-for-1 on summon, searching for a level 1 fire. Poplar, when added, triggers to summon itself onto the field, searching for a Sinful Spoils. We're on summon number 3. Summon number 4 as we send the Poplar to the graveyard to summon our Diablo Star Black Witch. Now we are going to be triggering our Poplar to grab a monster in the graveyard and put it into our back row, putting itself into the back row. Very nice. And then I'm not too familiar with this card. What the heck is that? Sinful Spoils of Doom. Target a level 7 or higher spellcast you control. Apply the following effects. While face up, that monster is unaffected by other monster effects this turn, and then it's sent to the grave during the next turn on the standby phase, which would then trigger her effect to resummon herself back on the field. Very cool card looking like that. All monsters your opponent control currently lose attack equal to the targeted monster attack. Then, if their attack becomes 0, destroy them. So, destroy. Non-target destroy. Nice. Ash is going to send the Poplar and itself to the graveyard to come forth and summon a Flame Burge from the deck. Not activating Flame Burge to equip a monster on the field or in the graveyard into our back row. We now have Phoenix on summon, destroy the Retribution, which could then add back the Branded Fusion. I don't know if we're going for lethal here. With the Flame Burge being sent to the graveyard, we could then target 2 level 1 fires, and by target, you actually don't. It's non-target. So if you have Deity Crow and they have 3 level 1 fires, it's no good. They're going to target the other 2, and by target, they're going to just summon it. Non-target, reborn, 2 level 1 fires from the grave. Beautiful. Come forth, come forth. They already activated their hard once per turns. We're going to link climb this up into Promethean Princess, which locks us into fire monsters only while she's face up. She could reborn a fire monster from the graveyard. We have Flame Burge back on the field. And then the Nibiru is here. Goodbye to Diablo Star and everything else on the field. Tribute, everything. Boom, big token. We are now... After all of that, so we were cooking without Rescue Ace. This was also public knowledge. We knew that this was added. And now we make the real play, the real big play. And Darkler No More is not going to break the play. Damn, this is huge. We're going to set 4 cards from the deck. Ain't no way. We have Contain, which could negate a monster. We have Alert, or that's Rescue, which could rescue a monster from the graveyard. We have Extinguish, which could pop a monster. And the Extinguish can actually pop any card in the field, right? No, it's pop a monster. We're now going to be banishing the Sinful Spoils to return the Flame Burge back into the deck. Or I should say, returning the Hydrant, right? We target this, we drew into the Hydrant. Okay, so we return the Snake Eye back in the deck, draw a card for free here. Very well done. Yep, back in the deck it goes. Holy moly. Right through Nibiru. We have Monster Destroy, Monster Negate. We could add a Rescue Ace in the graveyard back to our hand if we want. Kit is now activating, flipping up the Contain, containing the Kit, negating the effect of adding a Branded Spell or Trap from the deck, banish, graveyard, back to our hand. It's not happening. Now we have Branded Fusion, so how are we going to play against this? We're going to have to try to negate the Albion. And if we try to negate the Albion, we could chain Super Polymerization to dodge the negate. This is going to be something. We're not going to even attempt it. We are not attempting. Wait, we already used up the negate, so correction. We just have Destroy. So the negate was used on Kit. We have Destroy, which will be used on the Mirror Jade, which will trigger the Alibur if we had it in the grave, which we don't. So we really don't have that great disruption against the deck right now. And it's important to note that we didn't have room to set the Called By. So the Turbulence actually clogged up our back row to the point where the Call by the Grave would have been a great play to banish the Albaz from the graveyard, stopping it from this play right here. Going into the Lubellion, which would not have happened. We now have the non-target monster banish here. Now, Turbulence has an effect, and we're also triggering our Promethean Princess. What does the Turbulence say? The Turbulence says that if another card you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, you can then pop a card in the field. So that's not happening right now. We are going to pop our Turbulence and pop the Mirror Jade. Just like that, we're going to non-target monster banish. We're going to use Extinguish onto the Mirror Jade to pop it. So what is the benefit of doing this? Why are we doing this exactly? The Promethean states that you destroy them, and only if you destroy them do you special summon the Promethean Princess. So I'm thinking that we don't want to destroy either. So now that the Turbulence gets banished by the Mirror Jade, if that's what we're doing, and the Mirror Jade gets popped by Extinguish, Promethean Princess does not come out. Okay. Pop in the Mirror Jade. No, we're getting rid of the token instead. And then we do, in fact, still summon the Promethean Princess because there was a card to pop still among them that were targeted. Mirror Jade activating to wipe out the field. Now, you may be thinking, if you're familiar with the card Extinguish, it states that the card cannot activate their effects with the original name for the rest of the turn, so the Mirror Jade should not have activated, right? Well, that additional effect is only with Hydrant. So if you had Hydrant on the field, what you would do is you would activate the Extinguish onto the Mirror Jade, and then you would chain rescue your Hydrant from the graveyard back onto the field, and then it would have not been able to activate in the graveyard to wipe out the field during the end phase. Am I saying that you should have done that? No, but it was an option. We have Lubellion setting up the Branded Lost. To battle we go. We could still rescue a monster from the graveyard here. Okay. The alert adds the rescue summons. We're going to summon a Quem from the deck during the end phase of the effect of the Titanclad, sending from the deck to the grave a Cartesia. Cartesia will add back if we want to. Otherwise, we leave the Cartesia in the grave to be rebornable with the Quem. We also have the Banishment activatable to reborn the Mirror Jade to non-target monster banish. What are we doing here? We're going to rescue from the graveyard our Turbulence. Now, the Turbulence is not a trigger effect, it's an ignition, so we want to deal with it potentially before it activates, but its activation is reliant on the cards being in the deck. Do we play more copies of this? Probably. If not, you use the Rescue Ace field spell to return them back in the deck to replenish the ability of using Turbulence. Didn't activate, normal summon the Hydrant. Now, the Hydrant immediately is going to make it so your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. We're going to chain alerts. We could search our deck because we have a Hydrant on the field. So let's get searching as the Mirror Jade's going to get reborn. Mirror Jade's a non-target monster banish as the Hydrant's untargetable, so it could get banished. We're going to grab the Impulse. If your opponent activates a monster effect in the field, the Impulse will trigger from the hand. We are now using the Promethean Princess to pop that newly summoned Mirror Jade, continually recycling the Promethean Princess. Every time they summon, she reborns and pops the monster. Mirror Jade activating for the non-target monster banish. We have no idea what they're banishing here. Goodbye to Turbulence. So that's now gone from the game potentially. We could use actually the Rescue Ace field spell to return it back. We have Quem being triggered to reborn the Cartesia from the graveyard, as we have the DD Crow to banish that Cartesia, stopping a potential fusion summon play, which would then trigger the Branded Lost to grab a Mercurier, which could then be used to negate a monster effect if we have a Branded Fusion. We are using the Promethean Princess, reborning our Snake Eye Ash, grabbing a Kurikara from the deck. Kurikara is now searchable. Any monster that had activated their effect on the field, we're now going to send it to the graveyard to summon our 3000 attack Kurikara. We're locked into summoning fire monsters only due to the Promethean Princess being on the field. Call by the Grave main phase 2. Okay, that works. Before the Albion triggers during the end phase, just banish it and negate it. Ash is going to be sending the Promethean Princess to summon a Snake Eye from the deck, which will be the Snake Eye Flame Burge, which will activate to equip a monster into our back row, which will be activatable during the next turn. During the draw phase, if you want, you could summon the Diablo Star onto the field, thus making the Sinful Spoils of Doom activatable to destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Holy moly. If their attack is 2500 attack or lower, so actually the Nibiru will not be destroyed, but it will be reduced down to 500 attack. Kurikara stealing a kit from the opponent's graveyard. Very nice. Okay. Ooh, turn player priority. Activate Super Poly before with their toggle on that they could activate to summon the Diablo Star onto the field. So we need to fuse with that Flame Burge, but the problem is, even though you outplayed the Flame Burge, if we fuse with it, it's still gonna activate to reborn 2 monsters from the graveyard, getting both of their effects. The recursion here is insane. Yep, Kurikara and Flame Burge into the Mood Dragon. Now Flame Burge, activate, reborn, 2 cards from the Hold up, Branded Lost just turned off the Flame Burge. Branded Lost counters Flame Burge completely. They could not trigger, they could not summon, they could not then add 2 cards or summon another card. All right, damn, let's go, Branded Lost. That was the way. That was incredible play. And the Impulse is going to be chain summoning a Rescue Ace from the deck in response to you activating a monster effect in the field, which this was public knowledge. We knew that was there. The Fire Engine is here. Fire Engine just dying without activating any card effects here. So we were in a really good spot until that Super Poly plus Branded Lost combo completely messed us up. So very well done for Lost Control with that toggle on, activating that Super Poly right away. Understanding that the Flame Burge reborning the Diablo Star from the back row would have been big trouble. Holy moly, we're bricked up. Oh, off the top of the deck, we have Rescue, which will rescue a monster from the graveyard, summoning back onto the field. Hydrant will then activate to search our deck for a monster. We have no disruption whatsoever to stop this. Airlifter on summon going to search our deck for the Rescue Ace field spell, which will return Rescue Ace cards back in the deck to then draw a card. Even our banished cards going back in the deck. Return 4, draw 1. Thank you, Max C. And it looks like Rescue Ace Snake Eyes is back in the game to win this. So we have Cartesia being added back. The thing is, we don't really have any disruption whatsoever here. Nothing here is too good. This is not good. What this says is if your opponent activates a monster on the field, you contribute this card from the field or hand to then summon a Rescue Ace from your hand, which we have none. So we really just have Max C, which the Ash could stop it. We're just in beatdown mode. We're not going to even bother. Just wipe up the field clean, and we're now back to nothing except the HQ could return 4 back in the deck to draw again. It's a really long duel. Are we back to grinding in Yu-Gi-Oh or what? HQ, return Banish and or Engrave back in the deck, draw 1. Off the top of the deck, we have an Extinguish, which will simply be destroy an effect monster on the field. That's it. Now, the Branded Lost is being in the same column as the Extinguish, so we cannot set up the impermanence to negate it. Straight up beatdown mode. We're just beat downing the Rescue Ace Mad Lad. Turbulence still activatable despite returning 8 cards back in the deck. We still have 2 Rescue Ace cards in the grave to banish to come forth and summon. We're going to chain with Cartesia. Chain Maxi. Do we bother with the Ash? Is it time to Ash? Yes, we're going to Ash negate that, so you do not draw per special summon that we're going to do on your turn, by the way. Now, the Branded Lost searching for a Mercurier is not going to be effective. We do not have an Albaz Fusion on the field. Turbulence is here, which could set up to 4 back row. And any of the newly set back row, one of them are activatable if we have a Hydrant on the field, which we don't. Coritis activating to reduce the field to 0 attack. Interesting. We're going to use the Branded Opening to protect our Coritis from being destroyed by the Extinguish. We're going to then return the Extinguish back in the deck to draw a card, to then use the Turbulence to reset it from the deck. We have Alert, which will add from the graveyard back to our hand. We did not use up our normal summon. Very well done. Additional normal summon. Activate the Turbulence. Imperm negates. This is with the new emergency card that's not out. You would chain emergency to the impermanence to send the Turbulence to the graveyard to dodge the negates. But knowing that they have that, you could then potentially activate Imperm early. But then with the emergency, they could summon a new Turbulence, activate that, but don't worry about that. All right, we got this column negated. Turbulence is not recycling from the grave. Hydrant still activating to search for a lifter, which we still have not used up our regular normal summon. We had an additional one with the field spell. We have Rescue again. This could rescue a monster from the opponent's graveyard to betray the opponent if we have a Hydrant on our field with that additional effect. Thank you very much. 5,700 damage on the field here. The Coritis does not activate unless it leaves the field through a card effect. Let's get beat down. And we don't have any disruption here, actually. This is nothing. It's just a big field. The kind of disruption we have here is if we use a monster effect to make a monster leave the field, the Turbulence will activate to then pop a card in the field. We're not doing anything. Now, the Hydrant states that not only can this card not be targeted by card effects, you cannot attack into it. So this able to search a card every turn and give all of your Rescue Ace cards additional effects, it's insanity. We have Turbulence recycling from the deck, and the newly set cards in the deck, one of them are activatable since we have the Hydrant already on the field. So if we want, we could use Extinguish onto the Cartesia. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. But we do not need to. We have over 9,000 damage, plus a Negate, plus a Destroy. Rescue Ace, Snake Eyes. Is this actually a top-tier deck? I cannot believe it. That was a very long game one. We have Brandon going first. We have a pretty good hand, but the Ash and the Droll and Lockbird here, ready to potentially turn off future plays. Now, Droll's not that good against Brandon Despia, as we're going to see here. Brand opening. So what you want to do here, we already made a pretty big misplay here, but it's okay. You do want to, with the toggle on, draw phase, activate that opening. Then the Alibur adding a Branded Fusion is not Droll and Lockbirdable. They can't use Droll and Lockbird. This is now the Droll is usable. And we can't further add cards from the deck to the hand where that Droll should not have even been activated. We also have Ash Negate. Negate, I don't think so. Mate, now the Kit normal summon can't add. We would have had an add if it weren't for using this outside of the draw phase. So we just have Imperm, that's it, nothing else. Imperm, single Negate. Ash is gonna search the deck for a level 1 fire here. The level 1 fire that we would have searched for would be the Poplar. So I mean, this is a huge Negate, yup. Poplar would then trigger special summon, then it's gonna activate searching for the Sinful Spoils. Yup, that's the big play. 1 card combo going into a massive field. And I will be working on a guide on what the best fields to make with your 1 card Ash. Now we're gonna chain Impulse in response to the Quem sending a card from the deck to the graveyard to summon a Rescue Ace from the deck. That Rescue Ace is gonna be our Fire Engine. Let me double check what this card does exactly. This states that if a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you could special summon a Rescue Ace from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Okay, level 4 lore that is. Sending from the deck to the grave, Retribution. Retribution is going to recycle the Branded Fusion, which is not activatable again, unless its activation was negated the turn you activate it. But since this is the first time we're activating it, it's a full recycle. Let's go. Branded Fusion, sending from the deck to Fusion Summon into the Albion. This is playing into a Deity Crow or a Bestial, so those cards could still be good to use. And yeah, if you were to banish the Albaz, it would stop this play. But they actually have a counter to it because they could chain the Branded in red to your Deity Crow to then add it back to the hand, then fuse. Not a complete counter, but still would have been quite disruptive. The Fire Engine is now summoning a Rescue Ace from the deck here. Quem reborning from the graveyard since the card was moved from the extra deck. We now have the Airlifter. Airlifter will be searching our deck for a Rescue Ace spell. Come forth Caritas, which could reduce the entire field of non-fusions to 0 attack. Grabbing the Rescue Ace field spell, which allows additional summoning, but boosting and returning cards back in the deck to draw 1. Clear it up, clean them up. Rescue in the name. You rescue a card from the graveyard onto the field. We now have our Gangrenal in main phase 2, activating to send a card from the deck to the grave, which will be the Rinbrum. Rinbrum has the effect to reborn Albaz from the graveyard to then fuse with the opponent's field. So what we're going to be hoping for is for them to have any extra deck monster on the field to fuse with. So that is our good disruption. We also have Banishment to reborn from the graveyard, then fuse the field. We have Brandon in red, which can make a Chimera to pop multiple cards on the field. So why you would want to maybe use the effect of Chimera right here, right now, is because the Rescue Ace HQ, there's no trigger effect here. It's all spell speed 1. The ability to additional summon, the ability to return cards back in the deck and draw. You want to deal with it right then and there. Now, you have to target 4 cards in the graveyard and or banish in order to activate the effect. So if you don't have 4, then it's no good. Now, this is what we were talking about. Deity Crow to stop the Branded in red. We are going to still be disrupting the Branded in red, but now we're using the Rinbrum to dodge the Deity Crow. But we can't fuse with the Lifter. We're just summoning it. Okay, sure. So this worked out well. The Branded in red and the Rinbrum were double disruptions, which the one Deity Crow is able to completely stop. Okay, very nice. Banishment on the attack, reborning the Albion from the grave, and then we could just go into our Mirror Jade if we want here. That's exactly what we're doing. Mirror Jade, non-target monster banish. If we cared to save the Quem, which we let it die. We're gonna rescue from the graveyard our Fire Engine. And now we're gonna use the Mirror Jade to non-target monster banish, getting the Fire Engine off the field. We still have our normal summon plus our additional summon. The Caritas is going to reduce the field to 0 attack. I'm not sure why we really wanted to do that early. Now we can banish 2 Rescue Ace cards in the graveyard to summon our Turbulence. And do we have a way to stop it? No. Why did we banish the Fire Engine? I'm not sure why we did that. But we're setting 4 cards in the deck, and 1 of them are activatable right away. So are we going to activate them right away? We could negate, we can destroy, we can reborn from the grave, we could search our deck. We're extinguishing right now the Mirror Jade. But the branded opening is going to protect it from being extinguished. Damn. Now we get the return 4 cards back of the deck to draw 1. Very nicely done. Extinguish had another card effect though, and let me read that. It states that, it is the Contain. The Contain is the one that you could banish, right? If control, no, I'm thinking about something else. It must be one of the quick play spells that recycles a trap, I believe. Shokan into the Promethean Princess. We are locked in a fire monster only. We can reborn a fire monster in the grave, which will be our Ash. This is full combo. After all of that, this is a real deck. Snake Eyes Rescue Ace. I could not believe this. This was not a thing in TCG because Poplar does not exist in the TCG. Holy moly. Poplar being triggered, after being added, come forth and summon to then add a Snake Eye Sinful Spoils. Sinful Spoils, send a card to the grave, summon from the deck, a level 1 fire. Got the Hydrant back in the field. Poplar is going to be equipping itself into the back row. Snake Eye Ash, send the Poplar in itself to then summon from the deck a Flame Burge. Flame Burge can then equip a card on the field or in the graveyards into the back row. Now, that was smart. By putting the Titanclad into the back row, it will now not activate during the end phase. And it's actually not summonable because it was not properly summoned. So it's just stuck in the back row. We now have the Ambitious Swarm Ship, which is just going to be comboing off of the Promethean Princess off of a summon. We could then destroy that summon, plus our Amphibious Swarm Ship. We have the Albion sending from the deck to the grave, another branded opening to play around destruction effects like the Promethean Princess. We are now going to get fingered on the Lubellian activation, activating to search for a bestial monster. I do not think so. The Mirror Jade non-target monster banish, it's not activatable again. It's gone. The effect is gone. We have Caritas to reduce the field. We're going to use Contain to negate. Huh? Was that really... we're at 3,000 life. Reduced to 0 attack for game. That was actually game. Okay, we do want to do that. Kid on summon, add from the graveyard back to our hand our branded fusion. Return a card in our hand back of the deck on that resolution. It's now time to get fusion summoning. Now we don't have branded loss to protect our fusion summon plays. We have the untargetable Albion Sanctifier Dragon, which only has a good effect during the opponent's turn. So the summon of the untargetable Albion triggered the effect of the Promethean, which does not have to target the monster that was summoned that's untargetable, so we pop something else. Kit, which could not have protected itself from destruction with the branded opening as it only protects the fusion summons. We have the Amphibian Whale. I'm not too familiar with this effect that's happening right now. If a Link 3 or lower is destroyed, while this card's in the graveyard, you could then destroy 1 card on the field non-targeting which the branded opening will protect from. Branded opening protect, okay. Rescue from the graveyard back in the field, our Turbulence. Now, Turbulence is 3,500 due to the Rescue Ace field spell. By suiciding in our Mirror Jade, we really should have put this in a defense. That was a huge mistake. It now triggers to wipe the entire field during the end. Wow. I think that threw the whole game. Ain't no way. Wow. We didn't have to summon it in attack, right? It could go into defense, summon it to your field in any position. We now have Wanted, searching from the deck our Diablo Star, our first time interacting with this card for this duel. We're going to alert, add our Turbulence in the graveyard back to our hand, then resummon it. Now, we do have the effect of Albion to, I believe, summon an Albaz to fuse at the field. We could do that. Returning 4 cards back into the deck to then draw 1. Can we use Albion to disrupt that? Let's read it. It says shuffle them into the deck, then draw 1, which means if any one of the cards are missing, but you at least shuffle something else, you're still going to draw 1 card because you're shuffling them. Very well done. Turbulence is now activating to set 4 cards in the deck. We're going to rescue our Hydrant from the graveyard. We're also chain activating Caritas. Why not use the Albion to steal the Hydrant from the grave? I'm thinking that would have maybe been a good play. Now, with the Hydrant on the field, one of our newly set cards in the deck, 4 of them, we could activate one of them because we have that Hydrant the turn they are set. quick plays and traps. One of them are activatable. What are we going to use? Diablo Star, inherent special summon by sending a card to the graveyard. We now have our Sinful Spoils of Doom, which could reduce the entire field by minus 2,500 attack. Searching for an Impulse. We're not doing anything. Okay, well, we got reduced, so we didn't even want to attack. Now, during the end phase, we're going to be summoning the Promethean Princess onto the field, locking them into fire monsters only, to then reborn our Mirror Jade, which will be activatable. We do have the Extinguish activatable right here, right now, but we could just chain to the Extinguish. We are. Why not? Send the Albion, non-target monster, banish a card in the field. We could get rid of the Promethean Princess for good right here, but we're getting rid of the Diablo Star instead. Mirror Jade was not fusion summoned, so it does not activate to wipe the field again. Did we time out? No way. We're in a grindy, interactive meta, are we? That's a good thing. I think so. What the heck? Any duel that's making it to turn 5 and beyond, that's great. And we're going to have to be a lot more careful about the time limit. Damn. Imperm and Nibiru. I do think we have to Ash this. We have to, straight up. This is a very powerful effect. It fully pops off just from this activation. Triggers the Poplar. We cannot allow that. We are sending our rescue ace to summon our Diablo Star. Diablo Star is now going to be setting up into our back row our Sinful Spoils. We are on summon number 2. On 5 summons, we're screwed. Summon number 3, Hydrant, search our deck for a monster. We have used up our normal summon already. Summon number 4 into the blocker on summon, could discard a card from the hand, getting the Flame Virgin to the graveyard, which what's crazy about this is it triggers from the hand or field being sent to the grave. That's going to be summon number 5, summon number 6. That's it. We now can Nibiru. Now we can't. That was our last opportunity. Why did we hold Nibiru? Because of Turbulence. You want to Nibiru the Turbulence, but they know that, you know that, so we're going to make an Apollo USA to protect the Turbulence, protect set 4 cards in the back row. This is crazy. We had Imperm, we had Nibiru. Very good Imperm. Nibiru should have been good, but it wasn't. And we're playing right through it and fully setting up a protected Turbulence. This is a real deck. This is real. So we have negate a monster, negate a monster, negate a monster, destroy a monster. We have 4 disruptions. And because our disruptions in the back row, cards like Dark Ruler No More, cards like Droplet are not as effective. We have the Cartesia into the Contain to negate the Cartesia. No fusion summon play for you. Okay. And that doesn't trigger our Triple Tactics talent. So that's another big thing about having your disruption in the back row, playing around Triple Tactics talent, playing around Triple Tactics Thrust. 2 dead cards because our disruptions in the back row. We are going to attempt to fusion summon again. Now we could safely use the Apollo USA, and we want to remember that Apollo needs to be saved for Nibiru, which it will be able to. The Hydrant will be searching for the Impulse. We already used up our normal summon. We're going to use the Sinful Original Spoils to return a card back of the deck to search for a Kurikara. Let's go. Diablo Star is going to send a card to the graveyard to come forth and summon, activating the set from the deck our Wanted Spoils, which will not be activatable this turn. We have 6,300 damage on the field. Beautifully done. It is not lethal damage yet, or is it? Rescue's going to rescue a monster from the opponent's graveyard, not attacking for game. Because we have the Hydrant, we're able to steal a card from the grave. Setting up the rescue. Very nice. Another one. So only with the Hydrant does the rescue turn into essentially a DD Crow. It's disruption now. Wanted Spoils will be adding a Diablo Star back to our hand. Very nice. Alibra on summon activating to search. That is now triggering the Triple Tactics talent. We could draw, we could take control, we could search our deck for a branded fusion. This duel is far from over. That's big. The Albaz was competing with the normal summon for Alibur, which could have attempted to fuse the field. Triple Tactics talent is going for the draw too. We're not taking control. Branded in white plus the kit. Branded in white activating a fusion summon with the Nibiru to make our Albion. Now, this is where Albion needs the Albaz. So you use the rescue to steal the Albaz, and then what does it do? It gets screwed. Exactly what I'm saying. Take that Albaz. The rescue turns into disruption only with Hydrant on the field. We're still forced to fuse, so the Alubur and Nibiru are going to be making a Coritis, which could reduce the field to 0 attack. And this is a branded fusion to the hand, just like that. Limited to 1 branded fusion, it does not matter. Now, do we have a way to disrupt this? We just have the ability to destroy a monster. That's it. Titanclad, 3,700 attack here. Tributing the Albion with the sent from deck to grave Lubellion. Lubellion will be setting up a branded spell trap into the back row, which will be our branded lost. Kit is going to be not activating on summon because it would then return back in the deck. We're using the Extinguish to take out the Titanclad. And the Extinguish states that the Titanclad in the graveyard cannot activate their effect during the end phase. They can't summon a Quem. Very nicely done. Goodbye to the Hydrant. It was if you currently control a Hydrant, the Hydrant on the activation, so it did stop it from activating. We're setting up a brand in red. We're grabbing the Cartesian, the graveyard. Bro, what is going on? You're timing out? You didn't even lose to Branded. You lost to yourself. What is this? What do you mean you surrender in the end phase? We have the Anuk sending from the deck to the graveyard a Tellarknight. We're going to use the Constellar Tellarknights to reborn it from the graveyard. We now have in the graveyard activating. What the heck is going on? You can banish this card from the grave to special summon a level 4 or lower fire from your hand. From the hand we go. Ogier activating. What is this doing? We're sending a Turpin from the deck to the graveyard, using the museum to search our deck for a Noble Arms equipped card. As we now link this up into Apollo USA, triple monster negate. Deltros activating to summon a Deneb. Deneb activate to search our deck for an Altair. What else are we making here? Turpin is going to be equipping onto the Angelica, which you could chain link block this effect. She needs to be the direct activation in response to a card activating, targeting her. And what she's doing is she is going to be summoning from the deck or extra deck a Roland. Roland is now here, improperly summoned, to now make Emperor Charles. Now, Emperor Charles is nuts because if a card's equipped onto it, we could pop a card in the field. We're going to use Roland to equip onto it. We don't want to pop a card in the field here, though. We're going to use the Turpin to special summon from the graveyard. If you control a monster with an equipped card, you could reborn this card from the grave. Gaga Magician? Is this UDF? Reborn a rank 4 Exceed from the graveyard. Overlay into UDF, right? That's what I'm thinking. Now, this is it. Emperor Charles the Great without an animation. What the heck? Now, to summon this, you send an Emperor Charles, plus it being equipped to the card, and then it gains the effect of being able to pop a card in the field when equipped with something. It also has the effect of negate a spell or trap card once per turn. And it's not a hard once per turn, so a second copy is a second negate. Let's go, let's go. We're going to be equipping, and then we're going to pop the Deltaros to trigger the effect a third time in one turn. What is this? I can't believe these plays. We got Sirius being summoned from the deck, returning cards back in the deck to draw 1, drawing into our impermanence. Ogier equipping onto our Charles, using the museum to reborn a monster from our back row onto the field, now making a Ptolemy. Ptolemy could make a rank 5 Exceed, which could be the effect to, well, I think it's going to make a Durendal. Durendal's going to make it so if a monster effect is activated, or a normal spell / trap, you could detach a material to negate. So I think that's what we're doing. I think so. Angelica reborning itself back in the field. We're then equipping, oh my gosh, another Disruptor. Equip only to a card. Okay, what this says is once per turn while this card's equipped to a monster, gain 500 life, then destroy this card. And if you do, your opponent cannot target the monster this card is equipped to a card effects. What is the other effect? Each turn, negate the effect of your opponent's first spell card or effect that resolves. On resolution, negate. Super Poly negate. Did this negate Super Poly, the unnegatable card? You could not respond to this card, and it gets negated by the Angelica Ring. What? Oh, what the heck? Bro, Lightning Storm. You got a Lightning Storm? Okay, negate. Super Poly just got negated. Damn. And we have Monster Negate, Monster Negate, Monster Negate, Spell and Trap card negate. We have Quick Effect popped a card. We have Imperm negate. We have Ptolemy, which should go into another negate. Negate. with the Emperor Charles. Just like that, send an equip card to negate a spell or trap. Beautifully done. Lorisor, your deck is amazing. What the heck? Apollo USA, negate. We got 3 monster negates, now down to 2. We still have more. We still have more plays. The Roland has the quick effect to equip onto the Charles to pop a card on the field. Wow. That was game 3. Okay, good job, Lorisor. A beautiful display of Infernoble being used with Tellarknights. Damn.